guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Julia, and today I have with me my husband Josh. We are going to film names that we like but aren't going to use video. So with this pregnancy being our second, we don't know the gender. The first time around, we had a boy name and a girl picked out, a boy name and a girl name picked out right away, like before we even got pregnant. And once we had Eleanor, we're just going to use the boy name for this pregnancy. And if we have another girl, then we'll just continue to use that boy name until we have a boy. So we had to actually try to find a girl name, and we found one that we liked. And then last week,
I still like.
Yeah. And last week, I told Josh, I don't really like the name. I like the name, I just don't want our daughter to be named that. So we've had to go back and try to find a girl name. And we thought we would share or do a video sharing names that we do like, that at least one of us really likes, that the other person either vetoed or they're not crazy about. So if it's a veto, it's like we don't really bring it up again.
Right.
I did bring up a few other names that were vetoed months ago.
We allow ourselves to do either a hard veto or just a veto. And if it's a veto, we can bring it up again. If it's a hard veto, then it's done. Yeah.
There were a few names I threw out there again that he wasn't exactly crazy about the first time, just to see if his mind changed in the last few months or if it was still a veto. So we're going to go through the names. Olivia. I really like the name Olivia.
When I hear Olivia, I just think of an olive, and the nickname would probably end up being Olive, and I just don't really want that for our daughter. So
it would be Olive because one of my really good friends from high school, her name is Olivia, and we always call her Olive.
And I just...
Yeah. Oh, Emma. I love the name Emma.
Can't do Emma, so it's weird, and probably a lot of people would disagree with this, but Emma is the name of Ross and Rachel's daughter in Friends, and every time I heard the name Emma, that's all I'd be able to think.
But she wasn't really in the show.
She wasn't in the show, but all I could think was we named our daughter after Ross and Rachel's daughter. Even though the name wouldn't be after that character specifically, that's where my mind would go. Nitpicky, crazy, maybe, I don't know, but for me it was a no.
Ariel.
Not naming our daughter after a fish from The Little Mermaid.
I love the name Ariel.
No Disney fish names.
See, I would do Ari for a nickname, or I would actually even do Ari as a name by itself, but he doesn't like it. Evelyn as a first name.
Evelyn, I was okay with. That was a maybe for me.
The first time around? Or like with Eleanor?
No,
or...
no. I don't think Evelyn came up when we were naming Eleanor.
I don't think it did. I think we were actually just sitting on the couch one day and...
Again, before we found out we were pregnant, I think months before.
Yeah, I think we had just gotten married, and I don't know why we were talking about baby names, but
we were just hanging out talking.
Yeah, it came up, and I think I might have thrown out Evelyn.
I don't remember Evelyn, but...
But I definitely threw out Eleanor.
Yeah. And
I was dead set on it.
Yeah, but... Evelyn is a maybe for me. I know Julia really likes older names, and Evelyn is an older name, but a lot of it, it's so processed because once you get the first name, you got to figure out what the middle name would be, and it has to flow properly. And
yeah, the way we pick full names is we don't really do meaning of names at all. That's not really important to us.
Well, a little bit.
A little bit, but it's not. That's not like the main factor. It's how are you going to say their name when they're in trouble and you throw out the middle name too.
And how's it going to sound at graduation when they're getting their diploma or something.
Or how is it going to look like on a wedding invitation or something like that. Like on official documents.
It's got to roll off the tongue and it's got to have some...
it has to sound good with Levesque.
Right.
Because Levesque, I mean, it's a pretty common name where we're at, but elsewhere it's not common at all. So the next one is Charlotte.
Charlotte's Web, spider, can't do it.
Yeah, so we were throwing out this name prior to me getting pregnant the second time. Once Eleanor was about 9 months, that's when we kind of revisited the discussion on kids' names and figuring out, all right, well, Eleanor's almost 8 years old. Are we, where are we at? Do we want to try when she's 1? And I've always loved the name Charlotte and Charlie for a nickname for a girl. I like old-fashioned vintage names for girls, but I also love boy names for a girl.
She likes androgynous names.
I do. And he completely vetoed Charlotte and Charlie, and then he got me goats.
Right. I got you the goats first, before we revisited the names. And what happened was, Charlotte was thrown out during the Eleanor discussion because you really loved the name Charlotte, and Charlie for short. And I ended up getting her goats for her birthday last year, and she used the name Charlie for one of the goats. Yeah. So we really can't name our daughter Charlie or anything that would be abbreviated to Charlie.
I knew he wasn't going to budge when the name for a girl, so I just decided to name one of my goats Charlie. So at least I got one of my girls named Charlie.
And by that same logic, we've also used the name Annie, so Annie would never be used as a child's name.
No, I don't really care for Annie Levesque. Like, to me, it doesn't really flow.
Well, we've also, for the same reason, Mary.
Yeah, I really like... Oh, and I also really like biblical names, too.
Right.
So I threw out Mary this time around.
Right.
Not realizing...
We had... growing up, my family had a horse for 21, 22 years that was named Mary. And that's just... If I hear the name Mary, I think of a black Percheron horse. Yeah. Can't really use that name.
Yeah.
I realize that I'm a big issue to why we haven't come up with a name yet.
I think
we didn't come up with a name up until now. Yeah.
But I think we settled on a girl name. At least it's not off the table.
We're 90% there.
Yeah, we're 90% there. We still have about 2 months left, which is odd for us because, at least for me, because I like to have things done way ahead of time. Very much type A. But this time around with the second kid, it's like we got time.
So we had a name also picked out before this last name. And I threw out the idea of Samantha, which I really liked.
I think it was a week before I found out I was pregnant. Or it was a week before Eleanor turned 1.
Right. So it was right about when we found out that you were, I think it was just before.
It was right before we conceived.
And we both agreed we really liked the name Samantha. And that stuck for months. And we actually, because Julia likes the androgynous names, we're going to go with Samantha Elliott.
Yeah, Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. And after, I don't know, it was probably, 3 months into the pregnancy?
Yeah, I think it was right after.
So we'd been settled on it for 4 months or so, and all of a sudden we're having dinner, and Julia says, I don't think I really like the name Samantha.
I like it, I just don't want our child to be named that. But with that, I threw out, well, what about the name Elliott for a girl? And I think that was that a veto? That was a strong veto. Elizabeth.
Another E name.
Yeah. And you actually really like the name Elizabeth, but we could use it, but it would be a little odd because Eleanor Elizabeth.
Right. So that was the big, I did like the name Elizabeth, and if we hadn't used it for Eleanor's middle name, then we probably would have settled on Elizabeth as the girl name for this next child, if it's a girl.
Layla.
No. I just don't like the name.
Lila.
Same. Don't care for
that. That was actually on the table for a split second, too.
Yeah.
I think for maybe a day. We did like the name Grace, though.
We did like the name Grace.
But we can't use it.
But we can't use it because we have a... I almost said nephew. We have a niece who is named Grace. So...
Hannah. This is a name I loved. Again, it's biblical and it's a little old-fashioned.
Yeah, and Hannah was a maybe for me. It doesn't really grab me as a name that I would really go with for my kid, but it was a maybe as kind of a fallback. So it's kind of a middle of the list name. So not a veto, but not a strong contender either.
Leah.
No.
Or Leia.
No, not Leia. Can't do Princess Leia from Star Wars.
Right, Leah from the Bible.
Leah Levesque doesn't really flow to me.
Yeah, with the double L's,
yeah,
it's kind of Oh, another E name, Ileana.
No, that was just... I don't actually know if you brought that one up before.
Excuse me, I brought that up a few times.
And I'm pretty sure I vetoed it.
I think you can pronounce it either Ileana or...
Eliana.
Eliana, and I think I would do Eliana.
And either way, the double L sound with Eliana Levesque. Just... apparently I'm unnecessarily picky when it comes to baby names.
I think we both are, because a lot of the names that he's thrown out my way, I was like, I don't like them. A lot of them I've done hard veto, so I think I'm a little more pickier. Savannah. No?
No.
It's a pretty name, but it's definitely more of a southern name. And being up in Maine, it's like we're as Yankee as it gets. Ruth.
Ruth was okay. It was a maybe, but I just it's a low on the list for me. Not a big fan of the name. I know that it's a biblical name. I know that it has a lot of biblical significance, but
yeah, she was part of the lineage of Jesus.
And I just don't care for the name Ruth. It's too old. I think of like a little old lady knitting. We're having a baby, not a little old lady.
A little baby Ruth.
And that, I forgot about that.
From Friends.
From Friends. We'll have ourselves a little baby Ruth. Veto.
Permission to veto.
Please do.
All right, Esther. I love the name Esther.
No.
Love it.
No.
And that was a hard veto.
That was a hard veto. Again, little old lady, and there was a scene from How I Met Your Mother with a stripper named Esther.
With Barney?
Yes.
The lady looking out the window?
No. The one who blew cards and then a balloon and then shot a dart and popped the balloon.
I don't remember.
It was just a little throwaway scene, but...
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Juliet.
Juliet, no. Romeo and Juliet, can't do it.
We had also talked about doing some different... there would be different connotations of your names? Of your name?
Yeah, okay, so with my name being Julia, and where we are at right now, River. I actually kind of like it.
No, veto.
No. So with where we're at, it's either Julie, Juliana, Joanne. Like, I will answer the phone at work and I'll, say, "This is Julia. How can I help you?" And they're like, "Hi, Joanne." How you get Julia or Joanne out of Julia, I don't know. So there are just so many different variations of Julia that it's really repetitive and it's slightly annoying. So I don't want to do a variation on my name. And I also think it's a little weird when the child is named after the mom. It's one thing if it's the first son being named after the dad and it's either the second or junior. I really like that. But it's just, to me, it's weird when the mom's name is in the kid's name. And let me know if you think that's weird too.
I think that it's more common if it was a middle name, but I don't know many people who name their daughter after the mother first name to first name.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sage.
I actually like that name, and I wanted to pair it with Lila and have it be Lila Sage Lebec. And that's when it was on the table for a day, and then it became a veto for him.
Right.
Oh, Reagan. That's another one I threw out there to you, and you didn't like it. I like it. And another one that I actually threw out there to you was Ray as a first name.
Yeah.
And then you said no, and I threw it out there as a middle name.
Middle name would possibly work. And I actually, what did we pair the middle name Ray with? Because we toyed with that for a while.
There were a few names. I can't remember off the top of my head. Because again, we have gone through a lot of names.
Gwendolyn.
Oh, Gwen was another one that I threw out there for him. And if you've seen How I Met Your Mother, oh no, that was Quinn. It was actually both. I threw out Quinn and I threw out Gwen. And I actually really like Quinn. And because of How I Met Your Mother, he's like, no, that name Lorelai I actually threw out at you last week in an email. So Lorelai.
Oh, I forgot about that email.
Let me know if you guys have seen Gilmore Girls.
I was thinking more along the lines of The Mentalist.
Or that I always
Lorelai Martin.
I always think of Gilmore Girls. And I've always loved the name Lorelai. But that was a veto for him.
Yep.
The spelling's a little odd.
Beatrice. That's one that we talked about.
Beatrice. I don't remember talking about that. But again,
Beatrice or Beatrix?
Oh, definitely not Beatrix. That's definitely a hard veto for me. Beatrice.
I know that we talked about that.
I don't know. I would always think of Golden Girls because her name is Beatrice, who played.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, who did she play?
I don't know, but I just know that Beatrice was.
She was the tall one. I'm blanking on her name.
I was gonna say that's your show. So.
Yeah.
Zelda.
No, because I constantly think of your game.
Nova.
No.
Fernanda.
The female version of Fernando.
Or Ferdinand.
Fernando.
Wait, why are you vetoing Nova? Did you have a reason for that one?
I just don't like it.
Okay, I was going to say, because I thought we'd gone back and forth on that one before.
It's very spacey, but here's the thing. Even though it's very spacey, I do like the name Luna.
Veto.
That's why I haven't brought it up.
Luna?
I like the name Luna.
Huh. Emery.
Here's the thing. The ER in the middle, it's a little too hard for me.
Bethany.
That was a name that we actually discussed quite a bit. Because we would like to do Beth as short. But
it just didn't seem to fit.
Yeah, we couldn't really settle on a middle name for it that we were both like, yes, this is the name. So, no.
Juliana, but spelled with a G.
I actually threw that out to you. So it's spelled with a G.
I threw that out to you. Oh, really? Not with a G. Mine was with a J.
Yeah, with a G. How is it spelled? It's Giuliana. Yeah. Which I really like. It would pay a nice tribute to the Italian side of my family. But I don't know, we couldn't find a middle name
Dulce.
that would. I think it's Dolce. That would go well because the first name is very Italian and this last name is very French.
Khaleesi.
No,
I can't believe that's actually on here. No, I would never. That's a veto. I'm vetoing myself.
Yeah. See, I like the name Arya, but no. Game of Thrones just kind of nixed that.
Yeah.
Martha. I think I threw that name out there to you.
We talked about Martha quite a bit, actually.
Mm-hmm. I really like it.
I'm just scrolling through these and not finding any. You might as well be at least coming up with some of the names. You have a better memory. Martha, we've gone back and forth on a few times, and it is kind of an old-fashioned name that I don't mind. But, again, with the middle name, it would be, A, a very long name, depending on what the middle name was, and B, just didn't, to me, it didn't flow. Julia really liked it. To me, it didn't flow well enough with Levesque, so. Actually, Martha Ray Levesque would work, but.
I was literally just thinking that as you were talking, that Ray would actually work, but I think we're pretty sold on a name that we have picked out right now. We are just finalizing. I think we're in between 2 or 3 middle names.
Yeah.
So.
And no, we will not be revealing what the name is. We don't do that until the baby's born.
Yeah, so be sure
so if you're sticking around hoping we're going to tell you what the name's going to be.
No, just like with a boy name, we haven't told anyone what the boy name is going to be.
We've been sitting on that one for...
Since we got married, so 3 years.
2-3 years now, yeah.
So 3 years, yeah. We just celebrated our 3rd wedding anniversary, so 3 years. But if you guys do want to find out the gender and the name of this baby, be sure to follow me on Instagram because we will definitely be announcing it there. But not until we come back from the hospital because I don't think our family's going to be able to... I don't think we're going to be allowed visitors in the hospital.
I doubt it.
I'm kind of hoping that they still have that put in place because here's the thing. As a first-time mom, you don't realize how overwhelming having all of the visitors come all the time until after you get home and you're like, oh my gosh, not only are you exhausted from giving birth, but you're exhausted from having all of the visitors.
And I tried to head off a lot of them,
I know,
keep them out of the room.
You feel bad for saying no. And, I mean, even if you were to say no, they completely understand. They should understand. But this time around, I really don't want visitors. I mean, I would love to have Eleanor there, but she's only going to be 21 months.
Yeah.
So her attention span isn't going to be there. So I'm hoping that the no visitor policy is still in place. And we'll only be there for like a day, maybe 2, depending. I say a day, maybe 2, depending on when you give birth, because it goes according to different timings.
I'm planning on probably 2 days in the hospital.
I'm planning on 2 days, 1 night. I would love to be home the second night, even though the second night is the worst. It's the hardest night if you aren't used to it. But if you have if this is your second baby or 3rd or like subsequent pregnancies, then you're aware and you know what to expect. But we are cutting it on time, so we're just going to throw a few more names out there. Nora. I actually really like that name a lot. Again, it's old-fashioned. I threw this name out the other day.
Yeah, and it was a maybe for me, but I can't remember why.
It's like a very, very low maybe. Yeah. I think it was the day before I had said, I really don't like the name that we have picked out for the girl.
Yep.
And I said, I've been feeling this way for a few weeks now. I'm just like, I'm not sold on it. So the next day, after discussing it the night before, the next day I sent him an email. I was like, what do you think of all these girl names? And Nora was included on that email.
For whatever reason, we just never got around to discussing it.
You had said they don't really stand out. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to leave it.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, I'd said none of them stood out because, again, you did email me at work and I didn't really have time to mull it over. But
again, I don't think we're going to go with Nora because we're not going to share the name that we want to go with.
Right. Nice try, you two.
Yeah, so it was that night in the shower, I threw out another name that was on the email that I had been pushing for from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And
I had actually had you're talking about the name that we actually are leaning towards right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had a change of heart about it because originally it was a veto for me, and honestly, I can't remember why it was a veto. I'm sure I had a reason, but I've had a change of heart since then, and Julia brought it back up, and it's like, that's actually a really nice name, and it flows well, and it passed all the tests, so it's just a matter of praying on it and hoping that our hearts settle on it and agree on it.
Yeah. I've settled on it. I love it. But again,
I love the name Samantha.
I know.
And that went out the window just like at the drop of a hat.
Judith. I like the name Judith. It's old. It's biblical. I think it's biblical. I like Judith and I like Jude. Jude is definitely biblical.
I don't like the name Jude.
I think it's the Beatles.
Hey Jude?
Hey Jude.
Yeah, it's definitely the Beatles.
Yeah.
And Judith, I could go back and forth on it, but it's definitely nowhere near the top of the list. So like, it's not a veto, but it's like out of a ranking of 100, it would be like 95th.
Ooh, I threw out Giovanna to you.
I don't remember you ever throwing out Giovanna.
I think it was at the very beginning, but
that must have been a veto.
But you go from very Italian to very French. Yeah, I think that was it. I scrolled through that whole list and I pulled out names that we've either discussed or that
jumped out to you.
Yeah, that jumped out. You did the same. But that is it, you guys. Those are the names that we really like, or at least one of us really likes, and we just vetoed, or we just moved past it because can't really figure out a middle name, or it just doesn't flow with our last name. So we hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, maybe someone gained some ideas for their own kids. Eventually.
Yeah, maybe. Because I always like watching these videos of names that we really like that we aren't using, because it's one thing when you read it and when you say it out loud a few times, but when you actually have someone else saying it, it's like, oh yeah, that actually does sound pretty
Hearing
neat.
it from someone else.
Yeah. Or you may think, oh yeah, that name is definitely not going to be our kid's name. So either one.
I honestly didn't even know that was like a category of video. Or
I think it's
what do they call that? A trend of video or something? Whatever.
Yeah, I think they're just starting to come out more and more because there are more mommy vloggers out there.
That makes sense.
So anyways, that is it, you guys. We hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.